I would tell people all the time, I'm not lying. I promise you I'm not lying. And I wasn't, because I didn't know what was really going on. I didn't know for sure what was going on because I was so boggled in the head that my reasonable thoughts weren't coming through as to telling me, oh, maybe your body is just doing this because you think you are.
This is a real story about a false cryptic pregnancy. This story is about Jane. This is not the real name of the person who had this experience. Even though she is keeping her identity a secret for reasons I completely understand, she is not keeping her story a secret. She has allowed me to use her voice recordings, her words, her life, her experience, her real story. Hi, Cristal. I don't know if you remember me, but we talked a while back through messaging about the idea of cryptic pregnancy. And when I was sucked up into the toxic community and came to you for help, I realized that I wasn't really pregnant in January of this year after 11 months of thinking I was. What finally woke me up and made me stop was the irony and the abandonment I was getting from people in my life because of it. And so on January 17th this year, I woke up with really bad and horrible back pain at 8 a.m. And my boyfriend at the time, I mentioned to that I was pregnant, told me to call an ambulance. The ambulance arrived. I don't know what made them believe me, but it was like that day God had made everybody I encountered on the way naive so they would take me to an actual labor and delivery hospital. As soon as I got there, they checked me in, asked me my information, and made me pee in a cup and put on a gown. After I put my gown on, a nurse escorted me to my triage room and told me to lay down on the bed, and she proceeded to put a fetal heart monitor on me to find a heartbeat. After about 5 minutes of her trying to find a heartbeat and making me turn all angles to find it, the nurse said that she would be right back and went to talk to the doctor there. Shortly later, the doctor came in and started asking me several questions about my last prenatal appointment, when my last prenatal appointment was, and etc. After we talked, he ordered an ultrasound to see what was going on. When the ultrasound tech came in and did the ultrasound, she told me the doctor will be back to tell me the results. About 3 hours have gone by, and one of the nurses came in to explain to me that the doctor is getting my discharge ready so I can go home. So I waited patiently, and the doctor finally came in and told me that my uterus was empty and that I wasn't pregnant and that he's going to send me home. Surprisingly, none of the staff there were rude to me after that, and even bought me an Uber to go back home because everyone was still asleep and couldn't pick me up. It was like a breath of fresh air and relief almost. I don't know how, but doing that and going there, and even though I felt embarrassed afterwards, it made me snap out of it and stop thinking I was pregnant after all. After all those months of denial from several people about my cryptic pregnancy, it feels so good to be free from that because it was a miserable, cold, lonely nightmare. So, how could somebody believe that they're pregnant for 11 months? Let's look at her story. It's a real story, and she tells it very honestly in her voice recordings. So, let's just listen.
But while we were there, we were, of course, sexually active, and it's never my intention to, get pregnant so fast like that or anything like that. I, started feeling weird, and so pregnancy really wasn't on my mind. And like I said, I just started feeling weird. That day I went to the bathroom and I was bleeding super duper bad. It looked like a miscarriage, but I didn't know for sure, and I did not want to go to the hospital because I didn't want his mom knowing that that could have been a possibility. And also, my last period ended on the 6th, so I'm trying to figure out why 6 days later am I having another period. So it didn't make any sense. So, I had went to my gynecologist when I had gotten back from that trip, and I had mentioned to her about the situation about me bleeding, and then I had also mentioned that I have not had my next period or anything, in the past 2 months or so. And this was in June by now, or June or May, is when this was going on, when I was talking to my gynecologist and trying to get this figured out. Still wasn't having a period. I was already 3 months into not having my period. So, my gynecologist had offered to give me these pills to help bring my period on. Well, in my head, with my PTSD, I'm like, I don't really want to take those, because if there is a possibility that I'm pregnant, don't want there to be a case where that's going to kill the baby. So the only way I could, because my periods are pretty regular, and the only way I could put together that, I was missing my period was a possibility of pregnancy, something's not right. But the funny thing was, they were doing tests on me, like urine tests, HCG and stuff, and nothing was coming back. Everything was negative. I would take home tests at home. My head was so all over the place, so I went searching for answers, and that ultimately ended up leading me to what cryptic, quote-unquote, pregnancy is. And I'll tell you this, when I have first looked at, all the videos these women were making on YouTube and stuff, because I was looking it up on YouTube, I was looking it up on, Google, it was intriguing, and, it was kind of an eye-catcher, like, is that really possible? Like, that's not, normal. Could this really be what's going on? I really hope not, So, I watched more videos and got more caught up in it, and, that's, I want to say week, my gynecologist scheduled me for an ultrasound to see if maybe I have an, ovarian cyst. So I got an ultrasound, I want to say it was June 25th, 26th, and, they had looked all in and everything, and I, couldn't see the screen while she was doing it. It was a diagnostic ultrasound at this MRI place that, did it and stuff. And so that's where my gynecologist referred me. And once she got done, she left me to change, and all the pictures and everything was still up on the screen. And I kid you not, I've never really been able to decipher, maternal ultrasound, like, prenatal, or what a baby even looks like in there. So I was confused on what I was seeing. So I was looking around in it and taking pictures with my phone to show my boyfriend, like, this looks like a baby. I don't know what the heck this is, but none of the doctors I was seeing was confirming that that was the case, that yes, you're pregnant, yes, that is a baby. Even when I got out of there, they said there was nothing really in there. They said they did see a cyst, but they couldn't tell if it was ovarian or what. So I was really confused. And these pictures I had, it literally looked like, feet, legs, a little tiny body. I don't know, it was so weird. And my mind ended up making me feel insane. And I was like, am I really pregnant and they're ignoring it? So I started listening to the women's stories on the Cryptic pregnancy group and stuff, and I started getting involved in that. And they had similar stories. So I'm like, okay, this could be what this is. I've never really heard of this before now, but I mean, I'm willing to look more into it. So I did. At this point in time, I was having symptoms of, I guess you could say, a pregnant woman. I, wasn't really nauseous, but I was, feeling heartburn all the time. I was feeling little tiny twinges and flutters, like there were kicks in there. And these things all happened right then and there. I never had them before. It was a new feeling, so I'm like, this has to be what this is. And I was confused, and I kept feeling it, and one day I had recorded it. and I don't really have this video anymore, but I kid you not, in this video, my stomach is literally going in a wave. Like, not really a wave, but on one side, like waving, like something's moving in there. As the months went by, I did notice I was getting bigger, as if I was pregnant. Still, in this moment, I still believed I was. I don't know what was going through my head. I was going through a lot. I am diagnosed with PTSD, so that could have been a trigger for it. And I can tell you right now, I regret ever looking at those videos. I regret ever finding out what quote-unquote cryptic pregnancy is. I regret all of it, because it ultimately ruined my life for those moments and made my life misery. And, I lost a lot of friends and a lot of people during that time because of this. A lot of people thought I was insane. I embarrassed myself in front of several family members, several people, and, I ended up getting into a different relationship after my boyfriend, because even his family was harassing me. In that moment, things got pretty rocky between me and my boyfriend. He tried to stand up for me because he did believe. And the reason he did believe is because he claimed that whenever we were hanging out and everything, and this was when he moved down to Florida by me and everything, he could feel those quote-unquote kicks and movements. He could feel everything. He could, and he was telling me, he's like, I can feel it. And he would tell his mom, he's like, I can feel it. It feels so real. I don't know why you think she's not pregnant. I don't know what you have against her. And he was standing up for me. The thing about it was, according to my last menstrual period, my due date would have been November 9th. So it was like a month away, and on October 4th, she had bought me a plane ticket, but she wanted me to get confirmation from my doctor, and I think this was her way of finding out if I am really pregnant. So I made an appointment, and I had went, and, I begged the doctor to tell me what's going on. Please, I'm tired of dealing with this. And she just could not tell me anything. Nothing was coming up weird. All of my vital signs. I didn't have PCOS. I didn't really have ovarian cysts. Nothing that could be causing this. So she's like, I don't know what to tell you. She's like, the only thing I can tell you is I can give you these pills to start your period again, and we'll go from there. And I just refused, because I was so scared that these pills would kill the so-on baby that was inside of me. Then it got to the point where I started thinking that I was pregnant with twins, because I had people telling me, oh, maybe you're pregnant with twins, because there's this thing that when you're pregnant with twins, they can't really pick up the HCG because there's too much, and blah, 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 blah. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was my organs or what, but there were like things sticking out of my stomach that felt like feet and stuff and weird things, and I would get people to feel them just to have confirmation that they feel it too. And I'm not going crazy. And they did. There were several people confirmed to me, oh yeah, I feel that. That's weird. I would tell people all the time, I'm not lying. I promise you I'm not lying. And I wasn't, because I didn't know what was really going on. I didn't know for sure what was going on, because I was so boggled in the head that my reasonable thoughts weren't coming through as to telling me, oh, maybe your body is just doing this because you think you are. Like phantom pregnancy, basically. When I had heard of this, I was shocked. I was like, so basically my body is making me feel like this. Like, my body is doing this because my mind thinks that this is what's going on. And it was crazy. It was like, it made me realize a lot of things, that your body can trick you into so much things. Like, your mind is a powerful weapon, and you have to really be careful of your thoughts, because your thoughts are what impact your actions and your body and your health and everything. And I never really knew that until this moment. I still believed I was. I still had hope. I still had, that piece of me that was like, yes, it's true. It's true. I just don't know how to get it confirmed. I was trying everything. I had a fetal Doppler is what they call it, and I was even using that, and like I could hear things but I couldn't really decipher. I would look at videos on YouTube looking at what does a fetal heartbeat sound like at this week, blah 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 blah, and I would listen to it and I would see if I could hear it in there. Well, it didn't really sound similar, but I believe that was what it was, and it was just because it was different sounding. This is a funny thing too. I was always having weird contraction feelings, I guess you could say, like feeling like, yeah, I'm going into labor, but it would never progress. And it was weird. My body was doing weird things, like giving me really bad cramps in my back, like making me feel like really bad contraction feelings. I don't know. It was very odd. But nothing would progress. So one day was feeling really bad. I really couldn't walk. Like it felt like I was cramping so bad, my legs would not like walk. Like even if I walked, it felt worse. So ended up doing is just calling an ambulance. Ambulance got there. They asked what was going on, and of course I told them, "Oh, I'm pregnant. I don't know what's going on." I didn't want people looking at me like, "Oh, well, why are you so far along? You should have this baby already." I just didn't want all of that. So at this point, it was in January of this year. And, like I said, my due date would have been November 9th. So I just kept believing that, oh, well, maybe it's a little later. Oh, what's going on? Didn't know what was going on at all. And spent so much money. I wasted so much money. Well, I wanted this to be over. I wanted it to be over. I didn't want to feel embarrassed anymore. I didn't want to feel crazy anymore. I just wanted to get back to my normal life and everything. So this day in January, it was January 17th, I had went to the hospital, and I had, they took me to triage in the women's hospital, which is where, labor and delivery is and everything in my city. And I was sitting in triage, and they started, putting the heart thing on me to strap it on and everything, but they couldn't find a heart. And they could not find one, and it was just like really crazy. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I remember looking up and praying to God, like, can you please give me a sign of what's going on? I really need your help. I just want to get back to normal. And at this point, I started, getting more into praying and everything, because I realized that my life was falling apart and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on. Tim, if this isn't true, please make me get over it. Please, let me move on from this and get back to my normal life. Don't let me believe this anymore. Let my mind go back to normal. I was just praying and praying. And the doctor there had come in, and he was asking me questions, and he ended up ordering an ultrasound for me to figure out what was going on. So they ordered an ultrasound, of course, saw nothing, and they ended up discharging. The nurse had talked to me before I had left, and she's like, look, I understand, that what you're going through is not easy. She's like, I don't think you're lying, and I don't think you came in here just for, giggles and everything to make us look stupid. She's like, I believe that you really thought you were pregnant. I believe that you really didn't know what was going on. And she's like, and for that matter, she's like, since you don't have a ride home, I'm going to order you an Uber. And she was so sweet. And she's like, but I want you to listen to something. She's like, because of this, we have given you the valid info we can. She's like, and we're not lying to you. I promise you, everything we've checked is the truth, is valid, is, certified and everything. She's like, I want you to go home. And when you get home, I want you to take a hot shower and get your mind clear, and don't come back. Don't do any of this again. I'm sorry that this is happening to you, and I'm sorry this happened to you. She's like, but usually things happen for a reason. And she's like, maybe this was a stepping stone to learning something new and something new coming into your life that you needed to prepare for in order to go through this. Oh, I was sitting there thinking, and I listened to every word, and I was like, okay. And something just snapped into me, and in that moment, I stopped believing it. I stopped paying attention to it. Every single time I would feel those little movement things or whatever the heck they were, I ignored it. I started ignoring them. And when I had got back to the hotel with my boyfriend at the time, I told him, I told him the only thing I really could so he didn't look at me crazy. I was scared. So I told him the first thing that came to my mind, I had stillborns. They weren't alive. It was, I don't know what happened, all this stuff, talking about what was happening. And I didn't really like lying, and I hated myself for doing it. But I knew that if I would have told him what really happened, he would make my life a living hell.
So the story speaks for itself. It's extremely relatable in so many ways, not only to the women in the cryptic pregnancy community, but to all women. And I want to say that this story does have a happy ending, that this person, Jane, is currently pregnant with a standard pregnancy. She has all the ultrasounds. She has been confirmed pregnant through urine, blood, and ultrasound, so it's a completely standard pregnancy. She is, I believe her due date, I wrote it down, but I don't have that with me. Hold on. Okay, her due date is January 20th of 2021, so January of 20th next year. So that's super, super exciting, and kind of brings her, I really think it's perfect, because she went in at the beginning of this year, January 17th of this year, thinking that she was going to deliver a baby. And that is not what happened. She was sent home, told that she was not pregnant, that there was nothing in her uterus, and she had to deal with phantom pregnancy. A few months later, April. So what, from January to April. 3 months later, she became pregnant with a standard pregnancy. She tested positive immediately. And so it was exactly the opposite of everything she dealt with a year prior. And so she is currently dealing with PTSD from this. During her current pregnancy, she is constantly questioning if the baby is there. And so she is always looking at her ultrasound pictures of her real baby to reassure herself that she is actually pregnant. I wish her all of the luck in the world. I hope we stay in contact. Her experience, I know for a fact, will help many, many women, and sharing this experience on this platform is definitely going to help a lot of women. So again, like I said, Jane, I wish you all the best. I know that's not your name, but that's okay. So yes, the story has a happy ending. This woman experienced a phantom pregnancy for 11 months, and until she went into what she thought was labor. She went into the ER, into the labor and delivery, and they sent her away after an ultrasound with the fact that she was not actually pregnant. And all of that 11 months of thinking that she was pregnant was all due to the cryptic pregnancy community and the Gilmore Foundation. And I really hope that this video gets to the people that need it the most. That's what I pray for, and I know that Jane prays for the same, being as she was in this exact situation. And this video, I know this will help so many people. Her words, I mean, she's such an intelligent young lady, and so her words, she puts them so perfectly. Her experience is, the way she words it, and is so elegantly put, and there's really nothing else for me to add to this except thank you so much for watching. I hope you are happy. I hope you are healthy. Stay blessed, friends. Bye.